following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Great music today. This is a bitch fest here about that crap we saw on Saturday. The fix was in. It was 100% fixed.
You know what grinds my gears? We kicked their ass all.
Good evening. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Couchcasters podcast, the March Madness edition. We're going to be breaking down the brackets, giving everybody our opinions on our obvious perfect bracket that we're about to have, because we know so much about all this stuff. So anyway, I'm Jeff, your host. There's Parker, Murphy, Fonz, Cam. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Yeah, roll tide on the SEC championship. Oh, shoot. We got a special guest, man. Hang on. I got to bust my dude in here. Nick. Oh, my man Nick's in. Everyone, this is I got to do an official intro here in his Auburn shirt. He is an Auburn fan on the show, but this is my podfather, my dude, my homeboy Nick from Podcast of the Wheels, part of the Streaming Star Wars Network. Force Connect in the house. What's up? But he came on here to talk a little basketball. He's going to take a lane out of Star Wars and talk some basketball with us. So, Nick, everyone, what's up, dude?
I feel like the only appropriate thing is you've probably never had an Auburn shirt proper on your show. So if I don't bring anything else to this in this few minutes that I have with you, it's a little bit of representation. Like, that's all I've got. And it may not get me very far, but it's all I've got.
Hey, I got you a home game in Birmingham as a 9 seed, losing the first game of the tournament, losing the last game, or one of the last 2 games of the season, and they gave you a home game on the weekend. Congrats, man.
Classic Auburn fan, not complaining. We'll take it.
Not complaining. Nor should you, because, hey, man, you just take what the tournament gives you. That's all.
Underdog City, baby. That's how we roll.
That's it. So to start this off, then we're going to bring in. We're going to start off in your region. Then you got Auburn and Iowa. I know nothing about Iowa, I'll admit, but I did pick Auburn in this game because I think the SEC is a better league. So I'm sure you picked Auburn. You had to have picked Auburn.
I did pick Auburn for sure.
Everybody else, what about you, Parker?
Ooh, let's see. Okay. Did we just do the Auburn Iowa game?
Yeah, we started with Auburn, Iowa.
Gotcha.
Nick's only got a few minutes, so I wanted to get.
I got you. So
start with his team.
8-9 game. I actually picked Auburn in this game. I think they, if they get that fire about them, which we've seen them play their best game was against us in the Iron Bowl at the end of the year. If that Auburn team comes out to play, they have a good chance of being very competitive in this tournament. It just depends on which team shows up. So I picked Auburn in that game.
Agreed. Murph.
I actually just changed my vote just because I like the idea of Auburn having to face Houston if they beat Iowa.
Yeah.
All right. I would love that idea.
It works. What about you, Fonz?
I had Auburn.
Yeah.
For no other reason than conference supremacy, and it is a home game.
They had good players.
Yeah, they will be
some good players.
And I'm not huge on
Birmingham's
Iowa,
huge.
So.
What about you, Cam?
I have Auburn winning. No offense to our Auburn friend on the podcast here, but I think it's kind of BS that they got the Birmingham draw. Good for them. But the reality of it is it basically gives them a home game, and they're the 9 seed. I'd be pissed if I were Houston and then having to face them in the second round.
Yeah.
It's just and it really stinks for us as well, because it kind of takes kind of the home court advantage away from us a little bit too, because you're going to have more Auburn fans trying to buy that allotment. Like I said, in our text group, Alabama earned their way to play in Birmingham. Auburn got placed there specifically because it was a money grab or an opportunity for the NCAA to get some tickets sold. So,
brilliant.
That's on it. I think Auburn is a good team, though. Even though they didn't play like it all the time this season, they're a team that can still – they have the ability, they have the coaching staff to give them an opportunity to make a run. So, Auburn for me.
And I agree with every point you made. And as a lifelong Auburn fan, or at least since 1989 when I moved to Alabama, this year even, like, we were kind of mercurial. We were up and down. We had some moments where I thought we were supposed to be better than this, and then we fell off. And by the time tournament time came around, like, I had kind of checked out a little bit, like, as we got to the end of the season. And I checked in on the Alabama game. I checked in on, Kentucky back last month, some little things here and there. But by the time we got to bracket time and somebody was like, yeah, we're a 9, I went, wait, we're a 9 and we're in Birmingham? Like, I was surprised by both of those things. Call it classic Auburn underdog syndrome. Like, I'll take that too and own that. But, like, this is where we are, and I hope it gets us somewhere. But it's, I don't disagree with the things you said.
I have no doubt they were going to be in the tournament. That y'all were going to be in the tournament. I didn't know the seating and the location, but 9 and in Birmingham, I was like, beating Tennessee. I mean, that just that was a really good win because the SEC tournament result didn't matter apparently. I mean, It mattered for us. I think it boosted us into the 1 seed. The fact that several teams lost in their conference tournament final and we won, I think that helped boost us. But y'all playing in the tournament, had y'all won the tournament, it would have mattered. But just losing the first game, wasn't a big deal, and it shows in the seeding. Yeah, but well done. So, all right. So then, obviously, I think we all have Houston advancing in the in that 1-16 matchup. Even though the last ranked team Houston played was us back in December. I guess the American Athletic Conference isn't churning out juggernaut basketball programs apparently outside of Houston, but so that's a cool matchup in the second
80s. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. But that'd be a cool matchup on Saturday, or I meant on Sunday, Auburn and Houston. Or will that be Saturday night? That'll be Sunday, right?
Oh,
Saturday, because
y'all play Thursday evening. So yeah, that'll be Saturday night. The Auburn, if Auburn wins and Houston wins, Auburn-Houston be Saturday night. Hopefully that'll be a nice environment. Hopefully some Auburn fans will show up and pack it out for Auburn. That'd be a cool environment. All right, down to the U and Drake. I hate the Drake.
Well done.
I had Miami.
I did too.
Agreed.
I didn't even think twice.
Miami.
I just went with
Yeah.
went with the U.
just a gut.
Anybody take Drake? Anybody roll the dice on Drake? The 12-5
That's
upset
not
here?
that's not your classic 12-5. Not that one.
I agree. There might be a difference in the Miami and the Drake team in terms of athleticism.
Slightly.
All right, Indiana, Kent State. I believe I had Indiana winning that game.
Big time.
Indiana as well.
Indiana, big time.
And then
I had
Indiana.
Indiana.
I'm the only person that picked Kent State in this one.
Really?
Oh.
I'm just gonna say I like.
Go
Penn
ahead,
State
share.
a little bit, but I chose
So,
Indiana.
so I don't know much about Maction basketball, but I
Maction.
will say there's always I know that the 12-5 and 11-6 matchups always tend to create an upset somewhere, but the 13-4 matchup has also kind of been one of those games that you never really know. And I don't know. I had to pick an upset somewhere in the bracket, and so I think that's the one that I went with. I don't really have a big reasoning behind it, but hopefully Kent State, the Golden Flashes, win it.
That's fair. All right, so Iowa State and the Mississippi State Pitt winner. I actually had Mississippi State winning this game, so that means I obviously had them winning the play-in game, and then I had them winning
as well, actually.
advancing.
As do I. I said it earlier to you in the week, Jeff. Their defense is, it's one of the best in the country. It's just if that offense shows up. So we'll see what happens. But I had Mississippi State in the play-in game and beating Iowa State.
I think I had the all SEC teams winning their first game. There's just grinding through that SEC, man. That toughens you up.
Mm-hmm.
I had Pitt.
Oh, of
Beating
course, the
Mississippi State
Yinzer.
and beating Ohio State. Yeah.
The Yinzer takes Pitt. I knew that was happening.
It's
You haven't
been a
beaten
while.
Xavier,
It's
so
been a
you
while
haven't
since
beaten
they've
Iowa
been
State
there,
then, right?
so, yeah. They're going to the round of 32. But
There we go.
Nice.
Well, so I don't, I've also got the Mississippi State Pitt over Iowa State, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later. But I've actually got whoever wins that game, and I don't know who will. But either of those teams, I actually have them beating Xavier in the second round and making the Sweet 16.
Nice.
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
I did not.
I
had Xavier winning. that
So
game, too.
Pitt struggled really bad towards the end of the season this year, and Mississippi State can't shoot the basketball. But Mississippi State's got one of those
That's
teams
true.
that they are so relentless defensively that they can really give some teams a hard time.
Yeah.
And this isn't like the normal, I guess. I mean, I guess Xavier's a 3 seed, but I just don't know that much about him this year. So I think Mississippi State could give somebody some trouble, and I've kind of got them, not Pitt. But I think Pitt could also probably create some problems.
Yeah. We have whoever beaten Iowa State, though. I think we all have that.
Yeah.
A&M,
it's
Penn
not
State.
TCU.
Nick, what did you have for A&M, Penn State?
I've actually got Penn State on this one.
Oh, Nittany Lions.
Going with the 10-7. I don't have a lot to base that on other than early rounds. I like closer upsets than I do some of the bigger ones most of the time. I'm not usually a 12-5 guy, but something like a 7-10, I can see that
Yeah.
working. There's a little obviously the rankings are all very subjective, but this is just one of the ones that I felt like close enough and I thought I'd gamble on.
Penn State, I know, made it to the conference final of the tournament. I can't remember who they played in the final, though, from the Big Ten, whoever it was. Indiana, maybe?
Purdue.
No, Purdue. Okay, Purdue. That's right. Duh.
And I'd just like to say, while we're kind of on this topic, first of all, I think this is going to be one of the best games to open up the tournament. Penn State, I don't think they're great, but they did play very well against Purdue and played well in the Big Ten tournament. And A&M, I think, got screwed in the seeding in general.
Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee went 11-7 in the conference, and they're a 4 seed. And A&M finished second, to us by only a game. It's thrown in there as a 7 seed. And I've heard some people talk about last year. They were so angry about not making it after making it all the way to the conference tournament championship that they went on like a big PR circus, and supposedly it might have pissed people off in the tournament and or like the tournament committee. And they got shafted as a result of that. But I think that A&M team has a ton of potential. I know we beat them pretty bad on Sunday, but that team is scary. They always make their free throws.
Yeah.
They fouled a ton. And something about they defend without fouling. And so there's always this huge free throw disparity with them. And I think that could be one of those things that you really have to worry about in the tournament. I think they could actually go really deep.
Agreed with that statement.
Texas.
I agree too.
I had them playing Texas later on that one.
Yeah.
Hunter. I agree with Cameron's statement. The beginning of the season for A&M wasn't the best, but they really started figuring everything out and getting it all together towards the end of the season. They were competitive, so I actually had them making it to the round of 30. I guess it would be round of 32 against
32.
Texas.
Yeah.
So everybody had Texas beating Colgate, I'm assuming. Anybody have picked Colgate as the upset?
No,
Anybody brave enough or drunk enough?
I've
No,
seen people
none of the
campaigning
above.
for it because they have a guy that shoots like 49% from three. He's this tall, lanky
Not
white
feeling
dude. But
Nick, I'm just showing you what we're sipping on this evening.
My man, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Brad,
Yeah, I learned something from my podfather.
I'll refill from the Stormtrooper decanter here
Very
shortly,
nice. All right,
So.
so
Nothing if not on brand.
all right, Nick. So the next round, Houston, Auburn.
Call it homerism, call it being an ob, call it what you want. This is my big one. I'm saying Auburn takes Houston.
Auburn in the upset.
They're going to get hot. They're going to get a little bit of Bruce Pearl magic. They're going to get a little bit of just, what Auburn has the potential to do when it comes to basketball if they show up, if they do their thing, if they, again, I love Bruce Pearl. I've been from day one, before we hired Bruce Pearl, I think you and I have talked about this, Jeff. When we were looking for a coach, the thing I said out loud to one of my friends was, if I could pick somebody that we would get, it would be Bruce Pearl. He was still doing ESPN stuff because he was still kind of out in the hinterlands. I didn't think that was actually a possibility. And when they got him, I thought, give him everything. Keep him. I think he's a good coach. He's a good man.
Yeah.
I think that Tennessee thing was a little bit bullshit, but, it is what it is. Everybody has things. The stuff over the last couple of years has been maybe partially him, maybe not. Like I said, I'm an Aub. I've been an Auburn fan since 1989. Take it for a grain of salt. Take it for what you will. But I think when the Bruce Pearl magic is working, and Auburn basketball certainly in the last several years has been something I haven't seen since I was in high school and college when we had, Doc Robinson and, a different era of Auburn
Chris
basketball.
Porter.
So, yeah, Chris Porter for
Chris
sure.
Porter.
If we can get in Mamadou,
Stretch.
all that kind of stuff, Fishback.
Oh yeah. I
But
remember those days.
sure, why not? I'm an Aub. Let's roll for it. So I'm picking Auburn on this one.
Look at this guy. Hey man, they'll be at home. There'll be a decisive Auburn crowd, I believe. So
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I could easily
we're
see-
Birmingham.
I could easily see that happening. So I picked Houston, but I could definitely see Auburn upsetting Houston in this game.
Yeah, I've got Houston as well, but I could definitely see an upset there as well. I mean, obviously, Auburn being able to have the home crowd behind them is going to be a huge deal.
That's a huge part of it for sure.
And I'd like to just point out, Auburn hiring Bruce Pearl is why Alabama is where they're at today.
Completely agree.
It made
100%
us
agree.
have to actually invest in basketball and try to go get a coach and care about what we're putting out there on the court. And for a long time, Auburn and Alabama, or Auburn especially, did not invest in their basketball program. It
Correct.
was putrid for like 15 years.
It's garbage.
And once they hired Bruce
Dark
Pearl,
times.
it sent an energy not only to Auburn but to Alabama to say, "Hey, the NIT is not going to be the standard anymore."
Right.
Um,
I
It's not gonna
wanted
be the
Alabama
State
to hire.
tournament.
I wanted Alabama to hire Pearl when Auburn did. I was pissed that we kept Grant and then fired Grant the next year and let Auburn hire Pearl. I was like, this is year 6 of Grant. You know what you got. This is it. You can get Pearl now, punt Grant and hire Pearl. I was on board.
I'll be the first to say, and I've said
Auburn
it
guy.
before, I know football is king in this state, but if you made me choose between football or Bruce Pearl, I'm picking Bruce Pearl every damn day of the week.
Hey
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
this is the first time in my life that Bama basketball has been a legit contender, and it's a different excitement when your basketball team is making a run like this. And
Absolutely.
me not being an Auburn fan, when y'all made your Final Four run a few years ago, that was exciting for me that an in-state school had gotten that far. Like
Right.
it was unheard of that
Yeah.
Auburn or Alabama could even think of a Final Four in basketball. Who cares? As long as the football teams are winning, yeah, basketball's an afterthought. But
Yeah.
getting to the Final Four, I mean, it set a new bar. And like he said, that's why we have Nate Oates, and that's why we paid him the money, and that's why we're where we are right now, was because of that
Absolutely.
run that y'all had in, what was that, 19, 18, 19?
19, yeah.
And they got screwed in the
Virginia.
Final Four.
Screwed
Got totally
in that Virginia
jobbed.
game. Oh
It's
my God.
unbelievable.
Those pictures of Toomer's Corner after, though, with all the students, they make me pretty happy.
Yeah.
Fair. I can't be mad about it. It's fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
They're pretty
I
funny.
mean, all's fair in
You
love
guys
and
think
war,
they're
right? Like,
shafted, but
Yep.
all's fair, but
I
that's too
recognize
funny.
what the score is. It's fine.
But y'all got jobbed. I'll say that. Y'all got jobbed that night or that afternoon. I felt bad for you guys that day.
But yeah, I'd picked Houston as well, but I've really gone back and forth on that game too. As I stated earlier, if the right Auburn team shows up, then they could make a deep run as well.
That
So,
would be an insane upset, though.
it would.
Houston got
Yes.
back that early.
That'd be a Bruce Pearl type upset. He did it to us in, what was that, 2002, 2004, 2002 with our SEC championship team. I think we lost to in the second round to Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and he was the coach of that game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was 04.
Was that 04?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
it was the
I think you're
first
right.
time.
That was 04.
04. So we had a good team that year. We were 24-8 in 04. with
Yeah.
Kennedy Winston. Man, we had a good team and lost to the Wisconsin Milwaukee and somebody named Pearl, some guy I never heard of before. So he's done this before. So this would not shock me. So well stated. So then we have Miami, Indiana, and Albany in the next round. I had who did I have in that game? I had Miami in that
Indiana.
game.
Yeah.
No, I meant Indiana. I'm sorry, Indiana. I'm sorry. I had Indiana in that game.
too.
I picked Miami.
I picked.
Your
I,
Floridianness
Yeah.
is bleeding through.
My Florida man pride.
I picked Miami over Penn State in this.
That's right.
in my bracket. I don't really know that much about Miami. I know that the ACC was down this year and that they performed well there. But yeah, I have them beating Kent State. Kent State's run ends in the round of 32.
FSU definitely contributed to that downward spiral for ACC. It's so
They had
bad.
a heavy hand in it.
It was so bad.
All right, and then Mississippi State. Everybody had Xavier here, right? And then
Yes.
anybody pick Iowa State, or we all have the Mississippi State here in Greensboro. I think we all had Mississippi State beating Iowa
I've
State.
got Xavier.
Xavier, that's who I had. I had Xavier winning this game.
I had Mississippi State beating Xavier. Like I said, making the Sweet 16.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got Mississippi State making a Sweet 16 run. Very nice.
Yep. I mean, I don't think they're a perfect team, but I know that they can play some really tough defense. I mean, they almost got us at home this year.
Yeah,
That's
true.
And I mean, we had to crawl back into that game. So they're a team that they're not going to hit a lot of threes, but they're a team that's going to keep you, reasonably uncomfortable on offense. And that's their calling card. I mean, if you would have told me with a first-year head coach Mississippi State would even have an NCAA tournament team, I would have been blown away by it. They're not a basketball school by nature, but they, I think there's always that 11 seed that makes the run. I think they're going to be the one. I don't think it's going to go all the way to the Elite Eight or anything, but Sweet 16.
Wow, Sweet 16. All right, and then you had Penn State, Nick, here. Did you have Texas beating Penn State?
I've got Texas, yeah.
Texas there, yeah. I had A&M beating Penn State and then facing Texas in the next round here in Des Moines.
Yeah, I actually have A&M beating Texas in the second
Yeah,
round.
me too.
Yeah, that's what
I
I
had
had.
Texas going to the next round, beating
Okay.
Xavier.
I've got A&M beating Texas. I just like A&M, and Texas. Not the Big 12 was great this year, and they beat Kansas in the conference tournament. I think they're like the 5th overall seed, something like that. But I also saw them get whooped by Tennessee, and I know that was on the road, but I just couldn't get the taste out of my mouth. And I think that's going to be an awesome game, though. A&M and Texas haven't played in football or basketball
In a minute, hadn't it?
decade. So, I mean, this would be awesome if it actually falls that way.
That crowd's going to be insane.
That would be that would be crazy. Yeah, and I had A&M beating Texas, advancing to play Xavier. In this
I just
next
think when
round.
A&M plays right, they're a legit threat.
Yeah, I mean, I had in my bracket, I had A&M in the Final Four against UCLA. I mean, in my bracket that I turned in, I had them going all the way to the Final Four, beating Houston in the Elite Eight. That was my thing there. So who did you, Nick? Who did you have coming out of the Midwest, out of this region in the Final Four? For the Final Four. out
Well,
of this region?
we end up at Auburn and Indiana, and
In the Elite
I
Eight.
love my Tiger. Huh? Yeah, is that where
Yeah.
we are?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I end up with Auburn and Indiana, and I love my Tigers, but I feel like the right end somewhere. I'm a classic Auburn underdog guy, so I actually do have Indiana beating Auburn in that round.
Finally, the Tigers' magic run ends in the Elite Eight.
But hey,
Against the
classic
Hoosiers.
sandbagging Aub. If I'm wrong, I'll be excited about it, and we'll keep going. So
Yeah, you'd be. I knew it the whole time. I knew it
See,
the whole
told you.
time.
That's right. I called it. That's it. I
I
called
told you the whole time. Y'all doubted me.
Never doubted
It's not on tape
it.
at all.
Classic undersell.
Classic undersell. Andy Bernard. All right, so So you have Indiana coming out of here in your
I do.
for your
I've
Final
got
Four
Indiana
pick.
and Texas.
All right.
Texas beating Xavier.
Texas beating
Agreed.
Xavier, and then Indiana beating Texas to go to the Final Four.
Actually, I have Texas beating Indiana.
Same.
Okay, so you've got Texas
Same.
beating Indiana and Texas in
Yep.
the Final Four. All right.
Yep.
Agreed.
Parker's got Texas there as well.
Yes, I had Texas. I had Indiana beating Houston and Indiana versus Texas. Texas advancing to the Final Four.
Gotcha.
I
What
thought
about you,
picked
Cam?
A&M, Parker.
Huh?
I thought you picked A&M.
No. I picked Texas.
So you're
Which one? Parker's like 9 brackets he filled out.
I've got like 12 brackets. What are you talking about? Make me remember which one. No, I've seen my statement on Texas was I agree with Cameron for the most part on the statements about Texas. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they won their tournament, right? They beat Kansas in the Big 12.
Yeah, they
tournament.
beat him by 20 with an interim coach. Remember, because Beard got canned.
Well, but Kansas was also without Bill Self as
Bill
well.
Self,
Some
yes,
people were
yeah. I'm not talking about the
saying that had something to do with it, but
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm not saying that. I wasn't really even worried about that. I just thought that they were, very competitive in their conference. And they did play at Tennessee, but we could say the same thing about our showing against Oklahoma, who I think is a lot worse. And I don't even know, they're not even in the tournament. So, so there's, I mean,
We all
I
have those
think
games
Texas,
we're proud
yeah.
of.
Oh yeah. I think Texas makes it to the Final Four and plays UCLA. So
About
there's
you,
my,
Fonz.
I had Houston beating Indiana, but I flip flop on this. I might change it because I like Indiana a lot. I think they're probably
I
one of
do
the most
too.
underrated teams going into the tournament.
agreed.
They shoot really well. The Big Ten just doesn't
They-
get a lot of respect, in my opinion.
didn't they beat Purdue twice this year? And that's the
Yes.
top of the conference.
Yes, and they shoot well. Like they're 37% from three. I think they're close to 49% from the field.
Wow.
They're a good team. If they get hot, Final Four, even national championship isn't out of the question. But
Agreed.
as of now, at 7:45 on Tuesday, I have Houston. And
It
then
can
I have-
change 8
that's-
times since
It
between now
can.
and
Yeah,
Thursday.
I'm telling you, I might change it.
Depends
right
how much
now.
whiskey you drink.
Like-
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, a lot of
Um,
decisions, right, Nick, happen.
I was saying,
Depending on how
this
much
is
whiskey.
this is my school of thinking right here. So this man's not wrong.
Mark,
He knows what he's doing.
I've got Houston beating A&M. I think it's gonna be another Texas matchup, and I mean this A&M team. Like maybe I'm just high on them for no reason at all, but
Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
just
afraid of.
feel good
Me
about
too.
them. I don't know what it is, but I watched them play us and beat us in the regular season. I know that we smoked them. We put on our best game possibly of the season. I mean, not to include the ones where we won by like 57 or whatever, but against like a good opponent, I think that we played our best game of the season. We were
Yeah, I
in
agree with that.
clinic against them. They couldn't get shots up. Charles Bediako played unbelievably down low. JQ was awesome. We just played a really good game. But that A&M team is strong, and I think they're going to make the Elite Eight. I just think
They're
Houston.
good, man. They draw a lot of fouls, so if they hit foul shots, they're going to be in every game.
And I think Houston is one of those teams, like, we give them a hard time. Oh, they don't play in a real conference. And, we beat them, on the road or whatever. That doesn't take away from the fact that they're a really good team. And back in the 2020 season, I remember I said the same thing. They were a 2 seed. And we were a 2 seed. And they wound up making a run all the way to the Final Four that year. And I said, going in, Houston, who do they play? Like, they play in the American Conference. They're still a very, very talented team, one of the best teams in the country by far. And I think that it's going to be hard to beat them coming out of that bracket. I think Auburn probably has one of the best routes to do it just because based on the circumstances. But I think Houston's coming out of that side.
I think so too. I don't think I mentioned the Xavier A&M game, but I had Houston beating A&M for going to the Final Four. So
Okay. See, I had A&M all the way in the Final Four. I had them beating Houston in the Texas Texas Elite Eight game, and then showing up in the Final Four. That's crazy. All right, so we're going to move on to the South region now, which is where obviously the team that the majority of us roots for is the Rolling Tide. So we can go ahead and just mark us all the way down here to this line here. This Final Four representative from this region. I think
It's unanimous.
I think the majority of us in this panel have picked the 1 seed to go to the Final Four. Nick's making a face, so I'll let him explain where he has Alabama bowing out.
I don't have anything to explain really, other than what you expect from an Auburn fan forced to choose a number 1 seed Alabama team. I gave, and it was hard. I'm not going to lie. Like it took some effort. It took some, getting outside of myself. And there's no science behind this. Let's be clear about this. I gave it until San Diego State, and then San Diego State wins and gets to San Diego State Baylor, and then we end up with Baylor Kansas State as one of my Final Four teams. So it is. I gave Alabama a run, probably more than I wanted to, but they're one.
So you got us bowing out in the Sweet 16. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It. That's where it lands. Sorry, pals.
You gave us 2 wins. I admit I'm impressed. You gave us 2 wins. I'll drink to that. Cheers. I'll drink to that.
Well, what's funny to me is, since we're on this bracket, I just wanted to kind of bring this up. But going into the SEC tournament, a lot of the conversation about Alabama is we were playing rough in those last 5 games of the regular season. Is this team, they're good, but they just have all these issues, probably based on this off the court stuff. After we won the SEC tournament, all of a sudden, all of the big talking heads on ESPN are all of a sudden Alabama's unbeatable. They're going on to win the national championship. Like it blows.
Like pump the brakes there.
The perception has changed, and here's
very beatable.
Alabama's can be the far and away number 1 team, or whatever the case people want to peg us as. And I hope we win our first national championship this season. I really do. But the reality is, in this tournament, anybody can beat except maybe the 116 matchup for the most part. But anybody can beat anybody. And I hope it doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if West Virginia or Maryland had a great game and possibly beat us in the second round. It's not out of the question. I do think this bracket sets up extremely well for us. I'm going to knock on wood, but it sets up well for us. And I think, as most of the media pundits have said, it really is the best bracket for a 1 seed. And that actually has nothing to do with us being the number 1 overall seed. That's not how they seed the brackets and pick the teams for it. It just kind of wound up lucking up that way. And the fact that we get those first 2 games at home, especially the round of 32 game, or not at home, but in Birmingham, is a major advantage. Less travel time. And we're talking about, teams that are having to travel there. They're not, we played there before, haven't played well there, but we played there before. I think that gives us an advantage. And, I definitely think Alabama's going to win that first game. And we don't even know who we're playing yet because it's going on right now. And it looks like Texas A&M Corpus Christi, they have a 2-point lead right now with 2:26. So
Left to play in the game or half?
Yeah, left to play in the second half.
Oh, okay. So it's getting down to the end. Okay. All right. What about Maryland, West Virginia? That's kind of a toss-up there. I had Maryland, but I really didn't know. That was a coin flip.
Yeah, I picked Maryland.
Maryland as well.
With confidence, I picked WVU.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree.
I think they're
with
a great basketball team for being 19-14.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
just because it's
Maryland,
WVU,
and I
grew up
have
here.
a lot based on it other than seed at that point.
Yeah, I'm same, Nick. I was seeding. It was all seeding for me because I didn't know anything about either one of them. What about you, Parker?
I had Maryland. I'm going to go off what Scott said. This is one of those I've gone back and forth on. I actually watched a little bit of West Virginia this year, and I think they're a competitive bunch. But I picked Maryland in this game.
I got you. All right. So then, obviously, Nick, you've got San Diego State winning this next game because you've got them beating us. So
I do.
So
Yep.
I also had San Diego State. Not because I knew anything about either school. Once again, higher seed. Charleston, I imagine, plays a little bit lesser of a schedule than San Diego State does. So I just rolled with the five in there.
And just to follow my very nonsensical thread through the last little bit of that, down to the Final Four, for those of you that like to keep score at home, I am a long time, since probably 1998, I'm a longtime acolyte of Tony Kornheiser of PTI fame and
I love
ESPN.
Tony Kornheiser.
Have listened to literally every version of his radio show, his podcast, all his whatever. And for a long time, when he was back on ESPN radio back in the day, before the Dan Patrick show, before he came on, Phil the Show Killer was his producer.
Yeah.
And Phil would come on. Well, every time they got to bracket time and they would bring on all the different celebrities to pick brackets and all that kind of stuff, they would bring in Phil's mom. And Phil's mom would pick the brackets. And again, you expect, this is a lady in her 60s, 70s, whatever she is, and she's picking teams and she can't pronounce half of these names. And so she always picked, anytime Baylor showed up, she picked Baylor. Baylor. That was what she picked. Baylor.
I remember that.
And, there were other ones like when IUPUI was in, she like EUPUE, like she was trying to figure out like how to pronounce, that school, Iona, all the different whatever. So Baylor, maybe not even for the fact that, they're seated as well as they are. There's that little part of me that's the non-sports science numbers related person, but that little bit of sentimentality, I'm like, Baylor has a chance to be good because, they're decent, and then it's Phil's mom. So sometimes I just pick dumb shit because of stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, back to the 12-5 matchup at hand. Nick, it's going to be hard for San Diego State to beat us in the Sweet 16 because I actually have them bowing out to College of Charleston. And
Oh, wow. He went 12.
so
Nice.
the 12-5 matchup, literally, like every single tournament, there's
Yep,
like,
there's one.
I actually think I saw the other day that supposedly, like, not the 12, maybe the 11-6 has the advantage over the last 20 years over the 6 seed. So
Yeah.
the 5-12 matchup, and I always like, and you're going to see it later on with St. Mary's down the road in this bracket, but when those mid-majors play as like a 5 seed, I always pick the person against them. And I know for a fact, College of Charleston, y'all probably don't know a whole lot about them, but they're a team that can shoot the basketball. And that's going to could cause possible issues in San Diego State. And I think, like I said, that mid-major 5 seed always tends to struggle in the tournament. I don't know what it is, but I think that
Yeah.
College Charleston's going to have their number.
Maybe on the side there.
I came on at the perfect time. And I was hoping I did not miss this game because I picked Charleston because of their
played.
shooting. They can shoot. And
Love it.
San Diego State, they defend very well. I don't know how much Cam said, but they defend very well. I learned this like 2 days ago. So I'm not
Same Scott.
But
I just got the
San
press
Diego
release.
State is very, very good defensively, but they cannot score. And we've seen it a lot.